When life presses in, when it feels as though the walls have moved closer and every doorway has been sealed, there is a small, courageous thing you can do that changes everything. Stop, not to surrender, but to return to yourself. Let the noise settle like dust in a room that has been shaken. Let your breath become a quiet metronome again. Soften your face. Let a gentle smile find its way to your lips, not because everything is fine, but because you are still here, still breathing, still capable of turning. Say to yourself, as you would to someone you love, "My dear, relax a little. This is a bend in the road, not the end of the road." So much of our suffering comes from mistaking a chapter for a conclusion. We take a temporary storm and call it a permanent climate. We treat a difficult season as though it were the whole year. But life moves. Everything moves. The heart forgets this when it is afraid, yet the world continues to teach it in 1,000 small ways. The moon wanes and returns. Tides withdraw and come back. Winter loosens its grip and gives way eventually to green. What you hold in this life is not truly held. It passes through your hands like water. If things are flowing, enjoy them with gratitude, because even the sweetest days are visitors. If things are difficult, do not panic, because hardship also has an expiration date. It may linger, yes. It may test you, but nothing stays in one shape forever. The same river that looks fierce during rainfall becomes gentle again when the sky clears. This is not a call to indifference. It is a call to wisdom, to love what arrives without clinging, and to endure what hurts without despairing. To understand that impermanence is not only the reason for loss, but also the reason healing is possible. And in the middle of all this motion, we need a steady compass. Many people treat morality like a spare tire, pulled out only when the world is watching, polished in public, forgotten in private. But a life guided by convenience will eventually drift into emptiness, even if it looks successful from the outside. Morality is not a costume. It is a steering wheel. It is the quiet force that keeps you moving in the right direction, even when the road is dark, even when no one applauds, even when the only witness is your own conscience. As you pass through this brief human realm, you will meet people who help you solve problems, open doors, lift weights you could not lift alone. Be grateful. Receive their kindness with a warm heart. But do not place your lifelong faith in any single person, because humans are human. Even the best of us change, grow tired, become distracted, misunderstand, leave. When you build your entire peace on someone else's presence, you are building your home on a moving boat. Let others support you, but let your strength be rooted in something deeper, your own integrity, your own capacity to learn, your own willingness to stand back up. That way, when the storms come, and they will, you will not be helpless. You will be a tree that bends without breaking. There is a sentence the anxious mind hates, yet the wise heart repeats. Worry cannot remove tomorrow's hardship. It can only steal today's peace. Worry is a thief that never brings back what it takes. It exhausts you in advance, as though you must pay interest on pain that has not yet arrived. And then, if pain does arrive, you are forced to face it with fewer resources because worry has already drained you. So live simply, not in the shallow sense of reducing life into blandness, but in the deeper sense of refusing to multiply what is already heavy. Speak kindly, love sincerely. Let your actions be uncomplicated and clean. When you cannot control the outcome, you can still choose the quality of your heart. A car's windshield is far larger than its rearview mirror. This is not an accident. It is a design that reflects a truth. What lies ahead deserves more of your attention than what lies behind. The past matters, yes, but not as a place to live. We glance back to gather experience, to learn patterns, to pick up the wisdom we once dropped. Then we turn forward again. Not because the past is worthless, but because the future is where your next step exists. And still, even while we look forward, something tender happens in the human heart. Sometimes our peace is not entirely our own. We have all felt it. Those strange days when calm arrives for no obvious reason, as if someone has placed a warm hand on our shoulder from a distance. When we pray for others, when we sincerely wish them well, we send gentle energy into the world. Whether you call it the universe, grace, compassion, or simply the mysterious interconnectedness of things, it seems true that kindness travels. So when you feel peaceful and happy, consider this possibility with humility. Somewhere, someone may have once hoped for your safety, and that hope, like a lantern, still glows in your direction. To live well, we must sometimes look at this world with a child's eyes. Not the child's ignorance, but the child's openness. The child can still hear the voice of love beneath the noise of ego. The child can still be moved by a small flower, a silly joke, a warm bowl of soup. Adults often lose this, trading wonder for calculation, trading simple joy for restless ambition. We become sophisticated, and in becoming so, we become less easily nourished. People say a smile is worth 10 doses of medicine. It sounds like a proverb until you test it on a difficult day. Smiling does not magically erase your problems, but it changes the atmosphere inside you. It loosens the tight fist of the mind. It sends a signal to the body. We are safe enough to soften. When the body and mind are exhausted, smiling can feel like lifting a stone. Yet if you can let your lips curve even a little, something begins to thaw. The withered flowers in the heart do not instantly bloom, but the soil becomes less frozen. The sun finds a crack to enter. Do not live inside other people's mouths. Do not make your identity a hostage to their opinions. Speak lightly and do not waste your spirit on endless defense. Days pass faster than we think. Praise fades. Blame fades. The loudest critics in your life are often temporary characters in a story that is ultimately yours. When someone wrongs you, you may feel anger. That is human. But anger does not give you the right to become cruel. You can be firm without becoming poisonous. You can set boundaries without destroying your humanity. Sometimes the most dignified response is a quiet smile and a widening of the heart. Not a smile that pretends, but a smile that remembers. This is the human world, where people stumble in ignorance and create suffering. Often they do not even understand what they are doing. Sometimes they are simply acting out their own pain. You do not have to excuse harm, but you can refuse to become the same kind of harm. When you are burdened and in pain, hold on to one simple thing: the intention to live well. Even if that well is small today, getting through the morning, drinking water, taking a walk, telling the truth, resisting bitterness. Heaven does not seal every road. Life has a way of making paths where you thought there were walls. Honesty and goodness are not optional decorations we hang on ourselves on for admiration. They are necessities. Kindness is not weakness. It is the bright moon inside the heart, quiet, steady, illuminating the inner sky. It softens anyone who walks beneath it, including you. A wholesome thought is a seed. A wholesome heart is a flower. A wholesome deed is sweet fruit. Each of us is born carrying some seed of goodness. If we water it daily, through patience, through sincerity, through the choice to do what is right, even when it is inconvenient, it can become a great tree, sheltering others without even trying. And yes, some people lose their seed and grow cold. Some stain it and become cruel. But no one is beyond being moved by true kindness, not even hearts that seem like steel. A small, honest goodness can warm even an icy place. It may take time. It may require many attempts. But goodness has a strange persistence. It returns again and again, like spring. Doing good is not like depositing money in a bank. A truly good person does not fixate on profit. If you do good only to receive applause, your goodness becomes a transaction, and transactions easily turn bitter when the payment does not arrive. The highest form of goodness is to do it without obsession over results, without hunger for repayment. To give as a tree gives shade, naturally, freely, because it is the tree's nature. Look into the river of the mind. If you smile, the reflection smiles back. Live facing the good, not by denying reality, but by choosing what you will nourish. The mind becomes what it repeatedly returns to. If you return to bitterness, bitterness becomes familiar, and familiarity can feel like truth. If you return to gratitude, gratitude becomes a home you can enter even on hard days. And yet, there is a paradox in modern life that many feel but few name. We have bigger houses, yet smaller families. We have more money, yet more loneliness. More convenience, yet less patience. Stronger bodies, perhaps, but thinner hearts. Civilization has advanced, and still many souls feel exhausted, as if the speed of life has outpaced the capacity of the heart. We rush, we compare, we accumulate, we perform. We become busy the way a machine becomes busy, not the way a living being becomes meaningful. And then we wonder why we feel empty. Perhaps it is because we have been eating sugar and calling it nourishment. Perhaps it is because we have been chasing brightness and forgetting warmth. So we pray for awakening, not dramatic, not theatrical, but real. Less vanity, more living. less rushing, more peace, less noise, more truth. There are times we stand before too many options. We want to be flawless, so we hunt for the flawless choice. And in that chase, we lose what is quietly excellent. A teacher once gave a student a simple challenge. Walk forward through a field and choose the most beautiful blade of grass, but you may not turn back. The student found a nearly perfect blade early on, hesitated, then refused it because something better might appear. Step after step, the same. By the time he reached the end, he chose from what remained. Good, but no longer thrilling. The lesson was gentle and sharp. Endless choosing can become a form of fear. Satisfaction is not settling. It is seeing the value of what is already in your hands. Life never stops moving. If you sit quietly and observe, you will see it. Waves meeting the shore, again and again. Yet the waves of anxiety often sound louder than the waves of peace. Perhaps that is why a day with no alarming headlines can feel like good news. Still, even in calm seas, many people do not feel happy. They stir up storms to feel alive, to feel noticed, to feel important. The ego can become so hungry that it would rather be in conflict than be quiet. One secret to peace is learning to simplify what is complex, to accept what arrives, and to fully taste the ordinary joy that exists here and now. Keep complex things simple. Do not complicate what is already simple. Many burdens are not in the event itself, but in the stories we pile on top of it. Joy, no matter how vast, will fade. Pain, no matter how sharp, will soften. Knowing this, do not become arrogant in success and do not collapse in misfortune. Children cry often, yet rarely carry sorrow long. Adults, strangely, smile while hiding storms. We learn to perform steadiness while our insides shake, but we do not have to live like that. We can learn a more honest way, to feel what we feel without turning it into identity. Life itself is not made of suffering, but when desire burns like fire, when we must have, must win, must be praised, suffering comes knocking. Life itself is not made of pain, but when we become obsessed with control, when we turn every moment into a contest, pain wraps itself around us like vines. And in the end, no one can rescue us from suffering except ourselves. Not because we must do everything alone, but because only we can choose what we cling to and what we release. We carry many burdens, but we can choose which burdens to hold and which to set down. The way out of nightmares is awakening. The way to loosen misery is letting go. Pride is a heavy backpack filled with rocks we mistake for treasures. When pride swells, learn to bow your head. Those who always lift their chin in self-importance will never see what is worth learning. The people who progress fastest are often those who know how to lower themselves at the right time. Ask yourself sometimes gently, who am I? My name? My achievements? My body? The body will age, grow sick, and die. Roles will change. Titles will fade. And beneath all that, something deeper remains. The simple fact of being alive, connected to everything. We are not separate from grass, trees, fish, birds, rivers. Harm them, and we harm ourselves. Hate others, and we poison our own heart. Non-self does not mean you do not exist. It means your existence is woven into a larger fabric. Like a wave in the ocean, you are distinct and yet inseparable. Two things can share the same salt taste, tears and ocean waves, yet be received differently. We have the right not to suffer endlessly in the sea of suffering, because suffering is shaped by our grasping. Many disappointments come from clinging to idols until they break, clinging to money until we can't recognize joy, clinging to control until we lose peace. The hand that clings becomes tired. The heart that clings becomes afraid. Release does not make you empty. It makes you free. A wise teacher once described living well as giving up certain habits, blaming life for everything, trying to control others, fearing difficulty before beginning, demanding perfection, craving attention, insisting you are always right, living by other people's eyes. Consider these habits as knots in the mind. Some knots are old. Some feel like personality, but they can be untied. How many of these have you loosened? Which one are you ready to loosen next? Sit with yourself for a few minutes. If the mind becomes calm, the world becomes spacious. You begin to see options again. You begin to remember what matters. You begin to feel your own life returning, like blood returning to a limb that had gone numb. People often say, go with the flow. But true flow is not laziness. It is intelligent acceptance. Seeing what is happening now, stopping the useless struggle against reality, and waiting calmly for conditions to ripen. Nothing succeeds by a single cause. Countless causes must gather. If one condition is missing, things cannot form. When you understand this, you become less frantic. You learn what to do and what not to do, how to invite wholesome conditions and how to let unwholesome ones dissolve without feeding them. Good conditions and bad conditions are not fixed. What helps one person may harm another. What seems unfavorable can mature you. What seems favorable can weaken you. A good beginning can become a bad ending. A bad beginning can become a good turning. So do not rush to replace what you dislike, and do not obsessively chase what you desire. When your heart becomes steady, the conditions that match it tend to arrive. Like attracts like, not as superstition, but as psychology. Your inner stance shapes your choices, and your choices shape your life. Sometimes not getting what you want turns out to be a hidden kindness. The door that did not open may have spared you a room that would have dimmed your soul. The path that collapsed may have redirected you toward a truer life. Live honestly as yourself. Practice accepting. Practice letting go. Practice forgiving. Not because others always deserve it, but because your heart deserves peace. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It is choosing not to drink poison and call it justice. When life hands you a sour lemon, do not fear it. Use it. Cook with it. Make lemonade. The sourness is real, but your relationship to it is flexible. Many pains become wisdom when you stop arguing with the fact that they happened and begin asking what they can teach. Time can make us older, but it does not always make us mature. Maturity grows when we face upheaval and learn from it. The wise person, when alone, trains the mind. When among people, trains the mouth, staying humble, listening, speaking with care. Silence too can be a form of kindness. Not every truth needs to be thrown like a stone. Some truths should be placed like a candle. We arrive in the world empty-handed and leave empty-handed. Why exhaust ourselves trying to possess what was never truly ours? Use what you have. Enjoy it. But do not be possessed by it. Possessions are useful servants and terrible masters. Learn patience. Learn tolerance. Learn to see yourself and others with gentler eyes. A gentle gaze does not make you naive. It makes you human. Sometimes one step forward costs you your soul. Then stop. If stepping back helps you understand yourself, step back. There is no shame in returning to your center. There is only wisdom in refusing to continue in a direction that makes you smaller. An old man once sang all day. When asked why, he answered with simple joys. I am human. This is joy. I am healthy. This is joy. I have enough to eat. This is joy. And I will die like all beings, so why fear what is natural? 3 joys were enough to make him sing. This is not denial, it is perspective. We do not need everything to be perfect, to be grateful. We need only to stop overlooking what is already good. Much human suffering comes from fear of losing what feels familiar. Someone, something, a role, an identity. But what truly belongs to you will remain. What does not will leave, no matter how tightly you cling. Love wholeheartedly, yes, but do not make your peace depend entirely on another person. Let love be a garden you tend, not a chain you wrap around your throat. Society spins faster and faster. People chase money, status, pleasure, until the body collapses and the money is handed to hospitals. Yet, can money buy health? Can status buy a calm mind? Can applause stop loneliness at night? Many discover too late that the prizes they chased were made of paper. Happiness is not your title, but the warmth people feel in your presence. Not how much you save, but whether you get to do what you love. Not how grand your house is, but how much laughter lives inside it. Not the car you drive, but whether you come home safely. Not the applause at success, but the quiet voice that says, hold on, you can do this when you are at your lowest. Not the temple you visit, but the quiet temple you build within your own heart. Nothing is accidental in the way it shapes you. Everyone who appears in your life brings something. A lesson, a feeling, a mark. Some bring comfort, some bring challenge, some bring light, some reveal where you are still afraid. When you reach the bridge, it becomes a path. When you reach what feels like the end, a door opens, because that end was often the edge of an old self, and beyond it is a wider life. In the end, life is like wind and cloud. It gathers, it disperses. wealth fades. Love and resentment return to dust. Friends are like passing clouds, their shapes change. Sadness is like wine. You drink, you sober. Loneliness is like a star. It flares, it dims. 100 years is like a dream. Knowing this is not meant to make you gloomy. It is meant to make you free. If everything passes, then what matters is how you live while it is here. Inside us live both lotus and demon, angel and beast. Do not reject the darkness completely. It can become soil that nourishes the lotus. Do not run from past mistakes. Without them, there is no growth. Receive everything with gratitude. Not passive gratitude, but alchemical gratitude. The kind that transforms bitterness into nourishment, so your life can bear fragrant flowers and sweet fruit. No matter how well you live, some will praise and some will blame. Flowers bloom in 100 shapes, yet each opens and offers its scent. People have different paths. Why not lift one another up instead of dragging one another down? Right and wrong often depend on perspective. What matters is not eliminating differences, but dissolving jealousy, stubbornness, and the need to win inside the heart. The mind is a field. Sow joy and joy grows. Sow bitterness and bitterness grows. Your daily mood is shaped less by others than by what you repeatedly plant and water within yourself. A smile is the signature of a bright heart. When the heart carries love, it naturally yields patience, tenderness, and peace. When the heart fills with resentment, it yields ugliness and suffering. So if you want to live lightly, do not place your happiness in fragile appearances. Treat money, houses, and possessions as things you borrow. Use them well. Enjoy them, but do not worship them. When you are careful with this, you can live simply and beautifully. And when life grows loud, remember water. If you throw a stone into a pond, the surface trembles and your reflection becomes distorted. The heart is the same. Wait. Let the ripples pass. Let the water become still again. Then you will see yourself clearly. Then you will know what belongs to you and what does not. Then you can respond, not react. Whatever your starting point, rich or poor, supported or alone, do not look down on yourself. Do not give up. Everything changes. There will be a day you become the person you hope to be. Not because the universe suddenly becomes kind, but because you quietly persisted in becoming kind and steady. What matters is not having everything. It is knowing enough, knowing joy, knowing how to be content, knowing how to smile, especially when it is hard. So pause when you feel hopeless. Let everything settle. Smile softly. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to a frightened child. Take one honest step, then another. The road curves, yes. It will curve again. But a bend is not an ending. This too is only a bend in the road, not the end.